Okay, well, welcome back, guys. I think I've got the actual now camera in the correct position. So the first thing we've got to do upon reading our practice is we've got to make a start. So in making a start, we always do our marking with a pencil. So the information says in job 1, it says to mount two 238 series mounting blocks at 300mm centres using bugle head screws. Now, as the detail given in the topic skills practice, we'll measure 100mm in for a start. Actually, no, I'll change my mind on that. We'll actually measure 200mm in to start with, because we've got to allow for our conjugate entry. And then we'll add another 300 for that, which makes 500 overall. And that's the inside edge of both blocks. Put a little tab on that so I know. My tape measure and my pencil. Okay, I'll get my drill, some screws, ready to go. And my 238 blocks. Now with my screws and with my drill, I will always want the actual mounting block to actually go hard up against underside of the actual steel. So push it hard up on the underside, I'll line up where my pencil line is, and away I go. Make sure the drill's going in the right direction. That's number 1. Get one screw on that to start with, because before I can get too excited about screwing that back, I've actually got to cut a bit of conjugate in between the two. So let's just double check this, make sure this is right. Job 2 says to clip the cable in between the two blocks. Because we've actually clipped the cable through in the actual topic skills practice, I'm going to change this job 2 so that you'll actually be using conjugate in between the two blocks in job 2. So we'll change job 2 description so you're actually using conjugate in between the blocks. So we'll have conjugate in between the two blocks, between here and here, and we'll have a 100mm piece of conjugate coming out the end here for our testing, for our supply, to do our continuity tests, which is the detail in the bottom. It's just to leave a 400mm tail at the end of the last power point, which will be this power point here, for polarity and continuity testing with a multimeter. So just take note of that. Job 2, we're going to be using conjugate in between the two power points, or the two mounting blocks. Just confirm my measurement, make sure that's correct. Outside to inside 300, that's right. So you'll see inside here that the actual conjugate can go inside the mounting block approximately 20mm. You don't have to go that far, you can go less than that. So what I would actually do is just to measure the gap in between the two blocks, which is 181mm or thereabouts. So if I add 10mm for either end, I'll add 20mm in total. That'll make a cut of the conjugate 200mm. So I'll go and get a bit of conjugate. Now, in regard to the conjugate, you can look for the spares in the steel bin, or you can go to the right-hand side onto the rack, or at the rear, where there's some conjugate standing vertically, where we can actually determine. We'll be using lengths, using our renewable policy, where we try and reuse materials as best we can, because it's obviously a finite resource, it's not infinite, and that's the reasons for doing so. So as you can see, I've got 4 pieces of conduit. They're all different sort of lengths, so I'm just going to do a few measurements and just see where we're at and see what piece I can actually use for this job. Okay, so we've decided that we need a piece of conduit in between the blocks, 208mm long. Obviously, I just get the tape measure and I use my pencil. I'll put a pencil on the conduit and we'll put it about 202mm. I've got a pencil line on my conduit. My conduit cutters, you'll see them like this. Okay, there's my mark on my conduit. I open the drawers right up like so. I'll put the conduit right down inside the actual drawers like so. And I put my knife, just like squeezing the rear end down onto the mark. Once I'm onto the mark, I can just squeeze. Make sure you squeeze it all the way down. And then open it right up again, then go down again, and keep doing that. And you'll see by doing that, this little jaw here goes up and down these teeth and gives you more grip, which allows the knife to compress all the way down. Be careful you do not get your hands inside. This is a sharp knife, it'll actually cut. And both pieces like so. I've got my piece of conduit. I confirm my length of conduit. And I've cut it approximately 202mm long. As you can see there, I've cut it approximately 202mm long. You can see that well. You can see it there. And now I can insert that in these blocks here. So I'm basically going to release this second block now. Put it into my first block like so. Take the screw out of there, put it in my second block. Make sure I line up my pencil line again, which I do. And I can actually screw that back. Now that conduit's in the correct position. It's in between the 2 blocks. Do your screws diagonal in the block. I've actually done this block here, so it's actually down a bit, so it's not sitting at the right height. So I can fix that. Make sure on the correct marking, because I am going to be make sure on the right mark, but I am going to be checking your measurements in between the blocks, okay? So take extra care with that. For the purpose of this job, 2 diagonal screws will be fine in regard to attaching your block to the actual timber. Now I need to quick grab some saddles, and I'm going to be putting 2 saddles in between the 2 blocks. You can either face the saddles up or down, so face them like that, facing down, or you can face them up like this. Probably better to face them down. I'm just going to pause for a sec